So taking all that you've learned and poured it into yourself and you've gotten to this place that you're at now, has it been difficult being a young black woman in a predominantly white male industry?
Yes, it has. But through the grace of at times when I feel adversity or it's just my light at times is gonna be extinguished, there's three things that always hit me that from an early childhood at times I really didn't get, but it makes sense as you grow. The conversations with my mom and the way she'd pour into me, that was a reminder that I have to continuously show up for myself. I have to pour into myself. So with the words that I use, the way I talk to myself, the pep talks I give myself, and things like that, just making sure I'm pouring into myself.
You've worked with a variety of hip-hop greats like J. Cole, YG, even late Nipsey Hussle. I've heard you talk about him, Mac Miller. You were noted for the work that you did with Lil Wayne while he was in prison with WeezyThanksYou.com. Can you talk about that experience and what it taught you about pushing through perceived setbacks? You talk about Weezy, you say you had to get this music out, you taking this picture with Trump. You know, I mean, you got yourself, you were in the firestorm. What did you do?
The wonderful thing I love about Wayne is he is his own individual. When he went to jail, that was the first time I really got that they let me be. Because Mac called and was like, hey, Wayne's getting all these, it's only been a week, he's getting all these letters. He don't want to respond to everybody because it's just overwhelming, but he wants them to know he's okay. And we got an album coming out, so if you want to call me back. I said, call you back in what? He said, I don't know, figure out an idea. I was like, okay, this is somebody taking a chance on me. And at the time in my place, in my apartment, I didn't get my TV yet. I spent the money making a chalk wall that was also magnetic. So as soon as I had an idea, it was between my bedroom, the living room, and kitchen. So if anything hit me, if I had to go use the restroom before I go to bed, whatever it was, I'd write it down on this wall. So I sat there and I just was like, oh my God, he's gonna call me back tomorrow. I gotta think of an idea. I gotta think of something great. So I'm writing all this different stuff. Let's figure out a way to create conversation. This was before Twitter was really big. Facebook was doing what it needed to. There was no real place where you can feel like you had a direct connection to the artist. So I said, you know what? Let's do a website. Let's call it Weezy Thanks You. Spell it with the X, the way you normally talk. Let's launch it on Father's Day because you don't pull back the curtain with Wayne. He doesn't give you much. Like if I tell people that he knows the Bible inside out, that he only watches SportsCenter, that he loves his kids, you would never think. So this was a way to pull back the curtain. He provided me pictures that he didn't give anybody. He wrote this endearing letter that I had to transcribe. I put it up and the site damn near crashed. And it was so amazing because this was in 2010 and then Vogue magazine gave it like best blog in their music edition. And it was so amazing. And that year they gave me MTV MVP Hip Hop Person of the Year. And it was so surprising for the work where I wasn't even looking for the accolades. I just had my head down and just kept firing. Because I'm like, listen, Wayne's in a predicament. I get to help magnitude who he is as a person. So this blog came out, it's amazing. His album came out, it was #1. Now he's on Facebook. He has a Guinness Book of World Records for fastest amount of likes, most amount of likes. So he's in this space of like social media and all this other stuff where it's just like people like, what agency is that? Where I didn't even have to have a resume after that. Like people were trying to figure out what agency did that? Who is that? For them to find out it's a black girl from Elizabeth, New Jersey. Honestly, the phone was like ringing off the hook where they're just like, yo, we want you to work with us. We want you to work with us. And I'm to a point where I had to figure out what made sense, but I was so excited because you know what? They gave me a chance. They didn't give me an idea. They said, listen, he has an album coming out. He's getting a lot of letters. Figure it out. And I did. And that was the shot that I wanted, was somebody to take a chance on me, and I showed up at 100%.
I'm sitting here going, man, this sister right here is gritty as hell. I'm talking about, you have the ability. Do you know how gifted you are? You don't. I'm telling you something from a hood boy that's really, I ain't no gangster, I ain't no thug, I ain't none of that. I ain't none of that. I just come from nothing,
Yeah.
And I know when somebody has a special, that it factor, and you have that it factor. And I know what I'm talking about, man, because I come out of the dirt. I come from nothing, man. I have nothing. I have no education. I got this faith. I got this God. I got this will. I got guts. My work ethic is unsurpassed. I don't care who you are. You can outdress me, you can outthrow me, you can outwrite me, you can outdance me, you can outsing me, but I bet your ass can't outwork me. I dare you. So let's go. You mentioned we live in a microwavable age and everybody wants instant success and all this. What advice do you give to somebody who's struggling to keep going when they not getting the results they want?
Whew. Listen, you gotta, on days you don't wanna show up, you gotta show up. Because if you don't wanna put that time and effort into doing something that you love, you're gonna have to put that time and effort into doing something that you hate and showing up for somebody else's dream. So why not show up for yourself? So you have to find ways to pour back into yourself where you feel like, okay, this is becoming overwhelming. Can you do a reset? Can you find some time to take away or to recalibrate what's going on, to work on your mental, to find a way to pour back into you? I do these small things daily where I have a blessing jar, which continuously reminds me about my blessings, because we all go through it, which I count at the end of the year. We all go through this thing at the end of the year of, I'm gonna cut this person off. I hated this. Next year I'm gonna change this. But I wanna be in a place of gratitude. So I turn over my blessing jar and I count my blessings. Everything that happened to me that year, a lot of the stuff we forget. Like it could have been, I looked absolutely beautiful today. I found $20 in my jeans. To I closed a deal, to I got a signing bonus. And I put the date on there and I end up reading it, and that sets my tone. Another thing I do is if I'm having a bad day on my way home, I record myself in the car. I have that conversation with myself to all the way I get home. I stop, I delete it because I don't want to transfer that energy into my home. I don't want to talk about it anymore, but I've released it. I got all my complaints out. I try to figure out a solution, even if I do or I don't. I've released it and I let it go. And another thing is I ask myself these questions. What am I believing? Who am I becoming? What am I understanding? Those are 3 questions I ask myself every night. At the beginning, it was a challenge for me to answer those questions, but that's me doing the internal work to show up, to be great. Because in this business, you have to do the mental, I call it the mental exercise, to continuously have that 6-pack, which is the business. So you gotta continuously do that mental exercise. You figure out what you're comfortable with. If it's disconnecting, if it's writing in your journal, I do the being Mary Jane thing. I have stick-it notes on my mirror that reminds me on how to show up, how to be me, to pour back into myself. But if you do need to disconnect, that's okay. We're humans and not robots. Just understand this is your business. This is something that you love, and you really got to do that work. You got to do that work, not just in your business, in your personal life, with your mental, your spiritual, whatever it is. You just do that to really pour into yourself so your cup is not empty.
You mentioned this gratitude jar, which I thought was absolutely beautiful, because I don't know if people understand. Joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. And so I learned that at my mother's funeral, right? And I was sitting there at the worst moment of my life. And the preacher started talking about all the incredible things my mother had done in her 40 years as a Sunday school teacher at the Cleveland Church of Christ. And when he started pointing out all them people at that church, it was pimps at this funeral, hustlers at this funeral, bangers at this funeral. My mama was trying to save people for years. She changed so many lives. Some of them changed, some of them didn't. You understand? But as he went through the list of her accomplishments and all this stuff I would be grateful for, the sadness of her left. And so you obviously have tools that you do, like things like that. But what do you say to people who trying to stay focused on their goals, but they're going through the hardships?
One, the first and foremost is Put a time limit on your phone, especially when it comes to social media. The great thing now is iPhone lets you limit. Like, I can't do social media more than 90 minutes a day, and it times out. So when you're going through those things, you don't want to be scrolling. We get idle time. So when you get that idle time, you start looking to your left and your right. And if anybody's familiar with NASCAR, when you start looking to your left and your right, you crash. So you got to focus on your road. So putting a time limit on your phone, you find a way to disconnect so you can reconnect back into your purpose. So if that means you need to take 2 or 3 days off, you need to find some sort of solace where it's a beach, or you're just sitting in your house meditating, or you just find a quiet area, whatever it may be, do that. Make sure you set that time to really listen to your thoughts and not the ideas and ideologies of everyone else around you. Putting a time limit on that phone and having that conversation with yourself. Those 3 questions I asked myself, I've been recording myself for the last year. And just have a conversation with yourself. May it be a diary, may it be a video one, whichever is more comfortable for you. And then the 4th thing is, I'm big on meditation like sounds. So it can be from your sounds to if you have an audio podcast, or if you're seeing a therapist, or something that just helps you mentally so you don't feel like you're burning all the way.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Brandy Harvey. Thanks for watching our video today. But guess what? It does not stop there. I need you to do something. I need you to like. I need you to subscribe. But I also need you to share it with somebody who needs some daily motivation. Make sure you are subscribed to the Vault platform because we got more content on the way. It's your girl, Brandy Harvey. You already know we empower every day, all day.